Hi everyone, just wanted to clarify something for a bit. I scripted and made this video in the spring of 2024, so not everything I say in it is accurate to what I think now. I actually haven't thought of anything Project Moon since I made this video, so my little spiel at the end isn't completely accurate. Sorry to disappoint all you Project Moon fans, but I thought it was important to make sure all my thoughts were being made clear. Other than that, yeah, that's it. Enjoy the video.
Finally, I found you! You weren't supposed to goof often! Huh?
A Lobotomy Corporation video. Just as you wanted.
That's your video? Seriously? Come on. You know I wouldn't accept the slop from... How long ago was it now? A year?
10 months. Probably more based on how long this will take.
Whatever. I don't think your dull commentary adds much to the game. I let it slide for the first two, but not this one.
Joke's on you. I saw that coming. I've got another video in store.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Are you gonna tell me what it is, or...?
Smile for the camera. I'm not the most open-minded person. I will say that now. It takes a lot of effort for me to branch out, an effort that blows up in your face half the time. That said, I made a promise. A promise to make content on a game gifted to me. So now, it's time to be informative about something I know nothing about. Project Moon, an indie studio in South Korea that prides itself on lore, both in the game stories and their symbolism, and grotesque character design. All I really have to do is show you nothing there, and I think that speaks for itself. In less than a decade's time, they've gained a strong following that eagerly awaits the next game their gacha is helping to fund. And it all started with a translation job that would make Mega Man X6 buy a bear to drown their sorrows with. Get it? Lobotomy Corporation. Released at the tail end of 2016, but English players wouldn't get the full experience until 2020 with its updated translation. A basis similar to the SCP Foundation, gameplay similar to Fallout Shelter, and a probably intentional message about workplace abuse. What could go wrong? Oh, I don't know, just making me want to die again.
Earthbound Beginnings is still an option for you.
Amy's better than you.
What?
Nothing. I had zero interest in Project Moon or any of their stuff leading up to this video. Hell, I still wouldn't if it wasn't for the mere exposure effect. There's one problem. This guy does. After a misunderstanding led me to promise video content on one game that's gifted to me on Steam, I had this sitting in my library for a few weeks, and I had the brilliant idea of making it the final part of the dumbest story arc ever known to man. A story arc I didn't finish before I learned how it felt to abandon a passion project. Trust me, it's not like I didn't try. I had footage recorded in July that was wrapped up in audio too shitty to work with, and then this behemoth consisted of October and November footage. Of course now, nearly a full year after it was supposed to come out, here it is. The Lobotomy Corporation video 3 people wanted. The closest you'll get to a review before I cast it back into Steam Purgatory for as long as I live. Probably. I'll be doing 2 things here. Summing up how the game works as far as my 13-day streak is concerned, and exactly what happened during that streak. Shall we get started? October 23rd marked my first day proper. In this game, you take control of X. Wrong X. Who was hired as a manager for the corporation with Angela here as his assistant and top AI of the facility. On this first day, you're also supposed to meet Malkuth of the control team, but I didn't. Remember, this wasn't quite my first time. As such, the game skipped over me getting introduced to the head of control, and the smartest employee I've seen yet. Now we can get started. Wikipedia describes this game as an indie horror roguelite strategy management sim. Those were words, and a lot of them. Each day, based on how well you've done previously, you're given lob to spend on hiring employees and fitting their attributes, which I'll get to later. What you have to do with these employees is have them conduct research on these strange creatures known as abnormalities. Doing research will give you enkephalin boxes that you can spend on information or equipment, and contribute to a meter that, when full, will allow you to end the day and proceed to the next. Of course, they're not always positive. Different abnormalities, which I will call ABs to cut back on syllables, are more receptive to different types of research. Do the wrong kind and you get less energy, and your employees may take damage of some kind, which segues nicely into their 4 stats. Good work, me. Fortitude, Temperance, Prudence, and Justice, which correspond to the research types of Instinct, Insight, Attachment, and Repression. If ABs aren't cooperating, they can do red damage on your HP, killing an employee when it reaches 0, white damage on your sanity meter, making them panic and effectively dead since employees need certain weapons to calm them down, and even then they're slow to act. Walk faster! Black damage affects both HP and SP, and pale damage is an HP percentile. Hope you're keeping up because we're not done. Your employee stats can be upgraded using lob points in the prep phase before the day starts properly, which you earn based on how you do in the day, like I already said. Problem is, you also use these for hires, and there aren't as much to go around when you need more employees later in a run. The prep phase is also where you can fit your employees with ego equipment you earn from stockpiling PE boxes of an AB. Right by the box counter is the cliff-off counter, and god damn it, I still don't know how to say that. If an AB has one, certain actions, usually negative ones, will drop it to 0 and... well, have fun with that. It'll probably escape and cause more problems than you're ready to deal with. After enough research sessions, a quiff-off meltdown will occur, where you're given a minute to check on the AB before... I don't know, I never let it happen. Oh, before it makes you lose some energy and brings the counter down to 0. Joy. Finally, your branches have specific missions to fulfill. These are mandatory. They'll give you some neat buffs and are necessary to access the core suppressions, the closest this game has to boss fights. I only learned this after I gave up. Yeah, by trying to get through the game quickly, I only made it longer and more tedious.
Hasty fool.
Shut it! Now, I spent nearly 3 minutes talking about how the game works. It sounds like a lot, because it is, I'm just gonna be real. It's a micromanager's dream! How am I not amused when I do the same stuff for my Pokemon teams? I think the problem is guidance. Aside from the tutorial day, which is mostly a control showcase, this game doesn't tell you much of anything. At all. You're practically mandated to, say, spend energy on facts about your AB, start the day over, and work with those facts now known to get the best work result you can if you won't use a guide. Mirror B help you when you get further into the game. That said, starting days over for a better result, when I'm not in utter agony, is actually kinda nostalgic given how often I would do those things in the games of my core. Of course, this kind of design, even with the upgrades you can get such as speed up, make it so you have to be patient if you don't want to break your monitor. Or AC. Or keyboard. Or the first 5 days are very tame. Every loop you start with 1 sin and hundreds of good deeds, basically your starter Pokemon. The worst it can do is give you a bad work result, it'll never breach, and it can possibly heal you given the right circumstances. Experience told me to go with Old Lady since she's also pretty harmless. Unless the counter goes down to 0 by itself and she effectively poisons her room, but shh. 1.76 MHz isn't very dangerous either, but it's actually capable of breaching... kind of. It never happened to me though, so I had to be told that. Finally, there's this mirror of adjustment thing. Some ABs are tools that have to be used in order to research them, and... I never used it. I'm a very conservative player, and I'd rather not toss my employees' stats up in the air. Day 5 was interesting, because I had 2 workers get panic attacks, and ignored them. What do you mean? Okay. Turns out when you do that, the game treats them as dead when you finish the day, which... no. Day restart. This time I was more careful, and things went better. And then it didn't matter. Day 2 was October 24th. Turns out the game didn't actually save properly and I had to do day 5 again, but this wasn't a big deal. It was only day 5. Day 6, however, introduces the information team and its head Yasad, who reminds me a little too much of Cyrus from Pokemon. My first AB here was Fragment of the Universe, the first one truly capable of breaching, and one that unnerved me most of the time. Following that was Fairy Festival, very receptive to instinct research and protective of those who look at it, but it will kill an employee that looks at any other AB after that. Jeez, it's possessive. What a terrible caveat to this abnormality. Fairy Festival was the safest one I had. There was an open can of well cheers that ultimately doesn't hurt you much and can't breach, but... well, let me elaborate with circumstances. If you notice in day 1, I'm wearing my pajamas, it's clearly daytime, and I stop after finishing a shift instead of out of frustration. For day 2, the sun sets throughout the session, I'm not in my pajamas, and the light in my eyes dims greatly from the ordeals. Ordeals are these strange creatures that show up every other meltdown that... shoot it down! Well, if you don't know how to deal with them, you'll wish you weren't aware that you're not even 20% done with a single run. I was playing this game blind, with only my short stint in July to go off from. Lobotomy Corp is a game that mandates either extensive trial and error, or guide reading. From my perspective, people were dying out of the blue and it was getting late, so I tested out the memory repository to see if I could try for some better results.
Bet you feel really good about doing that one.
Quiet, Chucky. Took place on Halloween, and you can tell by my getup here. Side note, this actually inspired me to make a sketch, as seen here. Drawing Angela was a pain for 4 reasons. I think you can guess 2 of them. I had to repeat days 6 through 9. Fragment of the Universe was still there, Fairy Festival was still there, Yasad was still being an ass to me. It makes more sense near the end of the game. And there's now this strange person named B telling me not to trust Miss Personality here. However, opened can of well cheers got replaced, and we got a fun replacement here. The warm-hearted woodsman. You pretty much have to do attachment work with him, but don't bring someone too skilled, or the next person who sees him dies and... oh, looks like I'm starting over. By this point, a friend already told me about how ordeals work, so I was better equipped for them. They get stronger each time they appear, starting off with Dawn, never saw you, didn't get far enough to, so you don't matter. Yeah, most of them still kicked my ass, but when I got to shoot them down, I shot them down. Yes! Yes! And die! Also, this guy here died in the process, but he was the weak link anyway. Day 3 actually had 2 recording sessions. A lot more got done in the second one, where I wasn't a racist Italian-American stereotype as Class of 09's trailer puts it, but I instead had a fellow person who got killed. If I succeed in my tasks, I can bring them back with me.
When did I say that?
In the note you gave me that I never actually showed the footage of.
Shit.
Hey, you're from an E-rated game. You're not supposed to swear.
Your channel is certainly not E-rated.
Oh, I know. I just like that it annoys you.
Do you want to play Earthbound Beginnings?
Anyway. Turns out managers have a cognition filter that changes the art style to deliberately be more tame than what's actually going on in the game. I was mortified learning about it the first time, because it was right after the famed moment of employees can be replaced. Progress can't! Fortunately, it's a scripted event. What's not always scripted is Yasad talking about some guy named James and regretting getting any kind of personal with him. Yeah, this was the scene that really gave me
this world is imperfect
vibes. The second session actually got past the information team and allowed me to choose between someone who is apparently the best department head in the game and is completely innocent, or depressed guy. We went with the depressed guy. And had a scarecrow who wanted to stop being stupid. The fun thing about having a guest for that session was that it got me to speak more, whether it was ranting about how bullshit the game felt, having better reactions to the dialogue. Owen.
We said at the exact same time. Owen. Owen.
Nah! Oh, they just barely survived. They have just barely went with their sanity intact. or having an existential crisis about the predicament of my situation even though the game was going fine at the moment. I also said the worst thing I've ever said in my life, so that's cool. Hey, we use proper English in here, you poggy person.
What? Poggy person? Poggy person?
Editor, edit that out. Everything was going great as day 11 was coming to a close. I even got to kill Violet Dawn successfully. And then everyone started panicking, the Scarecrow got out a second time, and Rogan died. No, Rogan!
Poor Rogan!
I needed to stop. November 4th. We're past 3 days, so of course I start off with a Majora's Mask reference. Since everything went so terribly wrong on day 11, I had to do it over. Here's real footage of me devolving into a feedback loop at the end. I know. Yeah, evasion tends to be my best friend for ordeals still. And using the clerks as pawns. These are NPCs that really suck at living, but don't count towards your death total. Day 12 mandated me to pick another AB. The actual worst possible tool AB in the game, Blacephalon's burnout cousin, and Smallbird. I actually dealt with Smallbird before, and he made me eat his shorts, but I learned how to deal with him better this time. Basically, don't attack him when he breaches, and he won't hurt as much. I also found Netzach to be the most relatable person in this entire game. Why must I wake up and endure yet another day? Why do I have to bear the pain and get through it all, knowing tomorrow is going to be just as dreadful? You know, this guy's actually very relatable. At this point, there really isn't much that happened my 4th day of playing that warrants any strong discussion. The days were long, my patience was short, and one abnormality would ruin absolutely everything. What the hell is this? It seemed unreceptive to nearly everything. I decided to end that session there, possibly because of outside factors given the fact I'm not wildly pissed in that footage. And then I'm told what it was. Nameless Fetus, ender of the Friend's first run. If its counter falls to 0, which is very easy to do, it'll... No words in the English dictionary can describe the level of your fart this reaches. It was also at this point that I realized I needed to keep up with the department missions to trigger the core suppressions, something that I couldn't feasibly do at this point in the game with this list of ABs and this level of patience. That, combined with the fact that I had work to do elsewhere, led me to quit. I stopped playing and haven't touched the game since. And now, I don't know if I'll ever go back. I don't know being operative. I'm a natural pessimist. If I'm jumping into something new outside the core, I keep my expectations low. Lobotomy Corporation came at a bad time. I didn't play the game for the sake of the game. I went in blind on a game with God dang it being listed on its TV tropes page, and I played it during the actual worst time to make videos. Sometimes it takes a step back to really notice where the problems lie, and you know what? I realize that. I find myself reading up on the lore a bit, the music, or the tracks I've heard at least, are pretty good, and even though playing the game itself was frustrating, restarting the day for the best optimal results give me nostalgia for when I'd do this voluntarily for, say, time trials in Mario Kart. Even now, nearly a year later, there's a part of me that says, hey, try again with some guidance from that one CPU who simps over HOD. It might actually be fun this time. I mean, another part of me thinks of Nameless Fetus and remembers that I got frustrated just trying to reach day 21 and not 50, the last day in a run, but outside help would make the journey easier. I don't deny that Lobotomy Corporation is in my future. Hell, I haven't gotten to major story spoilers like the rest of the world, the real identity of X or B, why the character dynamics are what they are, or why resets are canon. It's gonna take some hurdles to hop, but this might not be the last time you hear me ranting about the size of Angela's nuts. Seriously, I spent longer than I wanted to trying to draw her because of a couple curves! There's your video.
About time. It's been really annoying trying to watch you in your irritating mouth.
Really annoying, huh? Then why'd you even bother? Why kill me in the first place?
Why kill you in the first place? You don't understand, you pathetic child. You and your kind are a pain in the ass. Either mocking me for my master's faulty programming, or always trying to bait me with your stupid midnight stunts, thinking it might actually get me to show up in your world. What's it even for? Do you want to die? Have me take your
He's,
cryptic and gratuitous way? Just want my
still
autograph or
talking.
something? You think I like all this? No. It's
Well,
annoying.
this
I'm
concludes
tired
the
of your
journey to get back to life
I'm
after
tired
being
of
killed
it.
by a doll.
You think I want to be the
I'm
terrifying
probably
creepypasta
not gonna
character?
do this
No.
more often.
This isn't the kind of recognition I want. I want an active role in a game. Something
I'm gonna give the
documented.
funny yellow
Something
man my
that
due now.
matters. Something that exists. This does things to you. Being treated like a joke, a mass murderer, or a joke mass murderer. Makes me jealous of that one comic book where I get something better than this. Your channel drought makes for a more appropriate death sequence than my attack. It did nothing. Nothing. How else would you get those posts and smaller videos out? I mean, look.